We're live on all the platforms. How y'all doing tonight? What's up, Facebook? What's up, LinkedIn? Let's see here. Who else we got? We got YouTube in the house. We got Twitter in the house. We are going live everywhere tonight. And tonight we are celebrating. What's today's date? What we're doing today? It's an
October
off day, right?
11th.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
what they
federal
say.
holiday. I
That's
think they
what they
call
say, man.
I think it was that guy Columbus, but I celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day today, really,
There you go.
and
Exactly. There we go.
I just take the day off because they give it to me, so I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. All you independent people out there, I mean, if y'all are Indian, y'all can just do what y'all want to do. You do that, but I'm still on the clock a little bit, so they give me the day. I want to take the day. How y'all doing tonight? What's going on, Miss Moni Hudson and
Listen,
Mr. Hudson over there hanging out with
we
us tonight?
we chilling. We doing the same thing. We celebrating indigenous. It's Indigenous People Day. I've seen a lot of chatter about people making sure that you say the name correctly, and then you got old school people who are battling out, talking about no, it's Columbus Day because that's what they grew up with and all this. But all of that aside, it's just a nice day to be able to chill out, spend time with family, relax, and it'll make the work week's gonna be shorter, right? For most people.
It's going to be shorter for sure. It is definitely going to be a shorter work week. Y'all do anything special today?
Yep, laid on my behind. That's what I did because we spend so much time like go go go, and it's nice to be able to just like chill out, chill out for a little bit without going and going and going. So just and I call it self care. And that's one of the things I reached out and I talked to some people about making sure you have that self care. So this morning I got up, I made something special for myself. I did a little brunch. I did an omelet for myself and did some rosemary potatoes on the side and a little mimosa. Just self care. It was self care day today.
Okay, dope, dope. I sat in the same chair for the most part of the day. Had some company. Had the daughter and the niece over. They were watching, spamming some TV, binge watching something. I think Avengers and then an anime they were watching all day. So I chilled for the most part today. No big rushes. So good day
See, that's
today.
good stuff. That's self care too.
Absolutely. Well, while we have everyone here tonight and kind of getting started, I know there's a few people hopefully coming in the room tonight. We are here to talk about the Noire investment open enrollment period. And as we're getting started with that, we're talking about investments. What's kind of in the market happening right now? What are you
Um,
seeing happening?
I'm seeing a bunch. We were just so we like to keep it fresh and new for you guys. We were just having this conversation about current trends and money stuff that's going on like right now. Like, what were you and Keith were just talking about like a good investment. What's a hot investment right now? You guys were just talking about, Mr. Hudson. What were y'all chatting about?
So the American Flag Football League is looking for people to invest at a minimum $1,000 to become partial owners of the league.
Oh.
So they're trying to expand their league right now. It's a lot of former NFL players and some guys, possibly some shoulda, coulda, wouldas, maybe. But they're, you're talking, prime athletes in a league that is potentially publicly funded. They're reaching out to CBS to try to get TV deals and things like that. If you go on their webpage, AFFL.com, I believe, you can see all their information about like where the teams are and getting invested into the league. And it's just a minimum of like $1,000.
$1,000.
Yeah, you could be a partial league owner
Wow.
into an up and coming league. Flag football is one of the biggest sports growing in America right now. It's like youth and as far as like recreational for like old folks like me who used to play ball and don't no more. So I mean, it's an opportunity.
What kind of players? Who's playing? Like when you make mention to like this, like being like some of these players, who might you see in some of this AFL league? That's what I'm
On
wondering.
their cover page, you see Nate Robertson. I've seen Michael Vick
Ooh, I
go
like
out
that
there.
pick.
Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
I've seen him play a little bit. Chad Ochocinco or
Oh wow.
Chad Johnson has played in a couple of games. So yeah, he's been a charity, of course, but now they're trying to actually start a league with this information. So
That's dope. I'm looking at their advisory board right now. So Michael Vick is on their advisory board. Danny Werfel,
Okay, go Gators.
Isaiah Kavinsky. I don't remember him. I think he was Seahawks.
Yes,
And then Rob Conrad from the Dolphins.
Dolphins.
They
Yeah.
are leading the advisory board. So you got a well-rounded group of individuals, players, thought leaders in this space who are helping to shape it, which is going to be dope. And they are moving the ball forward. And it's also a little healthier, right? So you ain't
Yeah.
banging on your heads and destroying them brain cells, man. That's a hard thing to do in what we call traditional American football, but this is kind of dope and provides an afterlife for the people we love and support so much.
All right.
So would this be something that you would invest in? What are your thoughts? Like, would you invest in this? Would this be an investment? Because this is what we talk about in the war about investing. So would this one, Chris, would this be one that you would invest in?
Look, I was when y'all first brought it up earlier, I'm like, man, $1,000, that's it? How much
Yeah.
would it cost to actually bring a franchise to the city? Man, we've got a lot of we've got a lot of pros who call this city home, right? Who've been
Yeah.
to the league. That would be
Yeah.
interesting to actually bring a team here, and actually play in maybe at the UWF stadium or maybe at one of the high school stadiums here locally. Shout out to Scamby Gators over in the Gator Bowl over there, the alma mater. But that would be dope to kind of do something like that.
I was just wondering, it was, since we talk about investing and that's what Noire is about, like we look at the calculated risk, like that's why I asked, like, hey, who's in there? Like, who are we talking about? So he did say some names that I do remember. So I was like, okay, that does sound like that would be a great investment. And you've got, like you said, I mean, within the demographic, like people enjoy watching it. And I know I would love to see what some of these athletes are up to and how they fare. I wonder would there ever be an opportunity for them to go back to the NFL if they wanted to? Is that
It don't. Tom Brady is not the norm being able to play until 45. So, and then
Yeah.
Michael Vick's game is not, that kind of game where you can run around and get smacked by 300-pound linemen
okay?
on a regular basis.
But yeah, I guess the whole point is it still would be entertaining to see, right?
Yes, that's the thing. Like, he's still an athletic dude, at 41, 42, still probably faster than most human beings. So it's one of those things where you invest in the potential, right? And you got all these NFL backings, in the underworkings of it. I'm pretty sure if the NFL decided, they could reach out to these guys and start to fund some of these things. I mean, you're already talking about TV deals with CBS on their own, so that's something that's good. And plus, this is not just about the former athletes, but also flag football is one of those gender neutral games that's actually being played more as youth before you get to tackle football. So you'll have like young girls and boys playing flag football, and that usually is where they split once you get to middle school and such like that. But it's still one of those fast growing sports, and it's it's low contact, gets kids out there running and jumping and playing, and it's fun. 7-on-7. So
For those who are just hopping in and watching us, what we're talking about is whether or not to invest or to not invest in the AFL, potential new football league. Minimum investment is $1,000. Would you invest? I'm going to throw it back to Mr. Hendricks. So that's definitely a yes for you for investing?
That is something I would definitely be interested in investing in, because what I'm interested in, especially right now with COVID having everyone locked in, is the entertainment value of people getting out, spending money, and going somewhere and having something to do. Actually being in cities other than the major core cities where NFL teams are currently. And now you have the potential to have that secondary league. And it's really complementary. Whereas if you remember, I think it was the CFL was more of a competitive sport to the NFL, right? When they launched arena football was complementary but competitive as well. This is very more so on the complementary side, and it provides entertainment value in what we might call tier 2 cities, right? So Pensacola wouldn't be a tier 1 city like you would think of like a New Orleans or a Jacksonville or an Atlanta, right? A big major core hub, right? So we would be like one level below that because of population wise, right? And so we could host a team like that, just like we host a minor league baseball team. We could host a minor league or some sort of flag football league, and it would be an entertainment value because this area loves football, right? This
Right.
area loves football, right?
Mhm.
So much so that everyone around here is an Alabama fan, except for me, but I won't go there.
Womp womp womp.
No Alabama fans here.
No Alabama fans over there either.
No.
Nah.
I'm not an Alabama fan for sure. Everybody Florida, I'm rolling with you. But yeah. So while you're out there, if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. We are entertaining questions, talking about investments tonight, and we got a little presentation we're going to go over with you all here shortly. We're waiting on a few people to get in and kind of getting started here. Did you have anything else you wanted to go over?
I was just curious from the people who are watching whether or not what they think, whether or not this will be an investment for them. Would this be a yay or a nay? Would this be one that a calculated risk that they would go on? Because that's what it's really about, and that's what we do in Noire. We talk about these things like, hey, now what do you think about this? What are the factors? What makes it good? What makes it bad? But for me, it'd definitely be a yay, and I think you said, Mr. Hendricks, for you, it would be a yay, right?
It will be a yay. It will be
Okay.
a yay. Yep, absolutely. I see the potential for money and entertainment, sustainable entertainment in the season. And that's where money can be made and a public company can actually return money to its investors. So definitely.
Now, just in case for those who are listening and watching, if you're wondering, hey, is that something that you invest in the war? No, not necessarily. This is not something we necessarily invest in, but we're all about educating and talking about these things because the whole point of Noire is to help educate people and to get people comfortable with investing. So the hope and the goal is that people get all the information, all the insight, the support from the community within our group to empower people to get out there and to have their own portfolios, to be able to grow, to be able to seek out the information and make these important choices. Because things like this happens if you wait and you don't jump on certain investments. Like we're getting this fresh and new right now about an opportunity to invest in the AFL. So if you wait 6 months, what happens, Mr. Hendricks, if you don't make the right choices with investing and don't do it confidently? What can happen?
Look, you miss those opportunities. They go sky high through the roof. Right now, we're talking about starting at 1,000. Here, you mess around and wait 6 months, and they get those entry level investors out of the way. In 6 months, the entry level price might be 100,000. Right.
Well, let's say our watcher, let's say everybody who's watching doesn't believe you. So let's see. Let's take this back. When Bitcoin first came out, or let's see, what is the other coin? What is Elon Musk is the what did the hackers use? They got paid in what?
Doge.
Yeah, so Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin first came out, how much was Bitcoin when it first came out? How much you could get it for?
Nothing.
Nothing. How much is it now?
Yeah, 48,000 is it back up to, I think.
My point. Timing is essential.
People are requesting to get paid in Bitcoin at this point now. So,
Yeah.
Time is essential. So yeah, and then we talk about that, with investments, to try to make sure we pull the trigger fast enough so that we don't miss out. That's
Absolutely.
it. Home values. We were looking at home values. If you bought a home some years ago, you're going to see a significant increase in your home value. That investment, you're going to see some return on that. That's about timing. So those people who are getting on, what did my boy, his name Joe Crack, Fat Joe says, the price went up. The price went up.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yesterday's price is not today's price. The price went up. You can't get it for what it was yesterday. That's investment. That's Joe Crack's word. That's investment. Is it not, Mr. Hendricks?
That's exactly it right there. And that reminds me, my mom and my dad bought their house, I think in 1980, 81. I think they paid $25,000 for that house, somewhere around in there. That house today is worth close to 2 times 6 figures, right, of value, right, from the 80s to the 2020s, right, just over that time period, right, the escalated growth up and to the right. And if you get in early, you can get it at an affordable level and let those assets accrue value. And when you accrue value, now you have the ability to make choices. You can sell and take profit and invest in other things. You can actually, if someone passes, now you have the ability to pass on the assets to your children, to the next generation, so they're not starting from scratch or negative zero, right? Right. It,
Hmm.
behooves you to get money in your kid's name, right? Get credit cards in your kid's name, and then they start life in, in a negative, right? Hopefully no one's still doing that to this day, but man, right? At least having assets to pass down, so they can go to college for free, right? They have a house, right? They have ownership in things, right? And they're not being passed down debt.
Yep, that's what's up. That's what we're talking about. So those just joining in, this is we're having chit chat with Noire Investment. My name is Monia Shea. This is Hudson.
Listen, the name is right there on the screen.
Oh, I'm just saying, just for the folks.
Oh man, yeah. For those who are joining in, my name is Chris Hendricks. As you can see on the screen, we have Miss Monia Shea, aka Moni Hudson, aka the founder of Noire Investments, and that's why we're here tonight. And I, as your acting president, have a few things I want to cover with you guys. So let's go ahead and jump right in and get into this and open up the floor for Q&A. So if any of y'all have any questions along the way, feel free to drop that in the chat. Let's bring the screen up here and get ready to rock in. Can y'all see my screen now? I think y'all can see it.
Yep.
So what I want to talk about tonight is this interest meeting. So for those of you who are unaware, we are a part of a group called Noire Investment Group. And we started a little over a year ago. We started before the pandemic, actually, and wound up having to go virtual as we got things ramped up. So we've met virtually throughout the whole entirety of the pandemic. But during that time period, we have been steadily investing. We brought together a group of people investing throughout the pandemic, meeting once a month, sometimes twice a month in the early days, until we got to a maturity level when we can meet once a month. And we've been steadily investing in the stock market. We've been learning, we've been educating, and now we're actually completing our first season, right? That's a round of applause right there, right? Because we have a Black investment group in Northwest Florida. I think there may be one other, maybe two other. We've heard that there are news that there are others in the area, but these are unheard of times, and we are ready to put in work, right? We've been working hard, and now we're getting ready to roll into season 2. So let's go through this interest meeting, because we're in open enrollment. That means we're recruiting for a few people to join our ranks, right? So without further ado, let's chop into this. So the first thing I want to talk to you all about is meeting the team. Right now, I've introduced you, and we've really introduced ourselves. Miss Caress, aka Monia Shea, who is the founder of Noire Investment Group. My name is Chris Hendricks. I'm the acting president currently, leading the operations of what's happening with Noire. And then our vice president, Miss Angela, could not be here tonight. She is actually celebrating her anniversary. In fact, yesterday they're in their honeymoon stages. They're doing some great, amazing things. So we want to give them some shout outs to Miss Angie. Thank you, Miss Angie. If you could be here, I know you would. We just shouting you out right now. So I hope you're enjoying your time period. So this is the team leading right now. These people who are in place, in fact, the president and vice president were elected. We have a whole slew of elected officers. And what we do with this group, we have about 20 members in the group, and then the members elect their officer team. Now, the founder is someone who's here consistently and is leading and helping to run the company as a consistent face and voice and presence in the company the whole time. Oh, did I mention this was a company? This ain't just a bunch of people hanging around. Now, this is an official LLC in the state of Florida. Go look that up in Sunbiz if you don't believe me. I'm telling the truth here. We bout our biz, right? We ain't playing no games. This ain't no hokey poke. This ain't none of that stuff right there. We bout our biz, right? So go look that up in Sunbiz and go check that out. With that being said, let's keep this ball rolling. Now, let's get into our agenda and talking about the club, right? Now, our mission statement, which you see right here, is we are a unified collective committed to the education and growth of our members and communities through the shared knowledge of investment vehicles towards the creation of generational wealth and wisdom. We're not out here necessarily day trading. We about growing long-term investments, not only for us, but for the next generation. That's our plan, that's our goal, that's our mission. And we're focused on the community long term. We want to actually get out and work with big mamas. We want to work with dads. We want to work with the children. We want to work with mom who is at work all the time. We want to work with all of you all. We want to help educate our community to focus on growing our assets so we can be independent to the best of our ability. And the way we do that is by codifying that in our mission statement. And that's what you're looking at right here. The plank owners of Noire Investments, those who started out with us, those plank members, we worked together to put this mission statement together, to craft it so that it was ready and focused, so that next generation and that next generation had something to look at, to prepare for, and to move towards long term, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years into the future. And we want to keep that commitment to that very thing. Madam Founder, do you want to talk a little bit about the history? I'm sorry, I advanced it a little too far. You want to talk a little bit about our history, where we've come from and where we're going?
Man, we just had an amazing meeting where we were talking about just like our growth and how much we've been growing. And it's just amazing just what we've been doing within Noire and looking back where we came from. Noire was, the idea was we wanted to be able to get together and have financial literacy within our community. We wanted to be able to help our community find ways to invest and start generational wealth. There's so many other communities, they talk about money. They talk about finances, like what you need to do to get your money right. So you can get in the game. But a lot of times what stopped us from getting in the game was the lack of education, support, and having places where you felt safe to talk about finances, to make mistakes. So Noire's history is based off of finding and creating a safe space for a minority community to be able to grow, get education, and start their portfolios. We just have had an awesome time because in our first year, we partnered with none other than Edward Jones, and they've been absolutely amazing with us. We've got the bomb, Miss Erin Wilmer, who has been so supportive. Shout out to Erin Wilmer. She's been so supportive to us every step of the way. And she, with that partnership, that's allowed us to invest. So we're not renegades with some of our decisions. We're able to, because you could be, you're like, hey, well, how do I know if I'm joining this, if we're going to be doing, things off the wall? Well, we have conversations. We have an advisor. We do our research. Mr. Hendricks knows, like, he helped set up the forum for presenting stocks to the group. So it's not just, we just shooting from the hip, but the history has been a beautiful thing because when we sit down and we make decisions, we look back on that. We look back on our mission statement. We sit down and remind ourselves, what are we doing? Where we came from and our purpose. So that's something that's always, I think that's amazing about Noire. And I look forward to the future. Back to you, Mr. President.
Dope. And in fact, on this slide, if you all are paying attention, you'll see that it says invested over $4,000. And we did that throughout the pandemic. This slide was built around August, based off of the numbers in August. And currently, right now, we're sitting over $5,000 invested. Am I correct, Madam Founder?
Yeah, I mean, and that's very modest because that's not even our total assets. That's just, that's the investment portion. But that's not the total assets that Noire has. So, yeah, we're actually close to double that for the total assets. We're doing great.
Yeah, this is a dope place to be. And we are out here talking to you because we think you are valuable. We want you to grow with us just as we want to grow with you. We know that there are many talented individuals out there, and we're looking to grow with you as you grow with us. So with that being said, I do want to talk about why we're doing this. And I brought this quote up from Dr. Claude Anderson, and I want to read it to you real fast. I know you can see it, but what you see in the background here is a group of businessmen from Tulsa. right? Everyone knows the story right now for the most part. If you don't know what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma with what's called Black Wall Street, you need to go check that out. But I think most of you who are watching right now are aware of what that is. But Dr. Claude Anderson answers the question of why. And he says, power is the ability to get things done despite the resistance and opposition of others. Economics is the production, distribution, and consummation of goods and wealth. Powernomics, then, is the ability of blacks to pool resources and power to produce, distribute, and consume in a way that creates goods. And that's what we're doing. We're working to create a powernomic environment in Northwest Florida. Well, really, in fact, we're virtual. You can really be from anywhere. The core group has been in Northwest Florida, but we're looking for individuals who are interested in joining with us and actually growing with us to create this powernomics in investing, not only in the stock market, but we're looking at other markets in the near future. Madam Founder was just briefly talking about Bitcoin and Elon Musk. We're looking at crypto, right? We're looking at other types of markets as well because we should be there. We should be investing. We should be reaping in benefits. When we started off this call, what were we talking about? We were talking about the AFL, right? And actually getting into football, right? Getting a franchise. What would that look like as an investment, right? So we're looking at the opportunities that we have before us. And as a membership, we go to vote and we create that powernomic to where we bring together power, resources to produce and distribute and consume goods for us for our benefit. Hey, I see someone's checking in with us. Miss Mamuya Tune, who is also known as Angie, is checking in with us. You're supposed to be on your anniversary, right? Go do anniversary things.
You baited her. That's because you put up Dr. Claude Anderson, and that's her man. You can't do that. She'll sniff that out in a minute. That's what had happened.
Oh, sure. Her ears are burning. Her ears are burning. She had to see what was happening. All right. So how did we get there? Right. So we get there by educating black families, right? This is how we get there. And that's our goal, right? We want to talk about bonds and mutual funds and the Forex and crypto and stocks, right? We want to grow a community of empowered investors, right? That's you. We have a group that's here and we are inviting you to join with us as we journey on this walk in what we call season 2. That's going to be the next year of investing from November of 2021 until October of 2022. That's going to be what we call season 2. That cycle is where we're going, right? Our focus is to teach and to do and repeat, right? We're going to practice what we preach. We're going to build generational wealth. We're going to teach families and we're going to grow, right? Expand our investments. Imagine what we did our first year, right? A group of people coming together for the first time who all didn't know each other. We pulled our money together. We put together a company, right? We created an investment partnerships and we started investing. Imagine all of those things in place and now how much faster we'll be able to run for season 2, right? Look forward to seeing that coming. All right, let's keep this agenda rolling. Let's talk about open enrollment here. All right, so step 1, here's where we are. Between August and October of this year, that means time is running out. Right? This is the end of our season 1. It's also the end of our cycle. If you didn't catch our earlier video in August, now's your chance to check this out and to catch up with us, right? We are open for enrollment until October 31st or until all the seats are filled. We're only accepting up to 20 and most of those seats are already filled. We have a couple spots left open and we're actually advocating and recruiting for you to come and join us, right? What we need you to do is actually come and complete an NDA. And the way you're going to do that is you are going to actually send us an email to noirinvestmentgroup@gmail.com. And I'm going to bring that up on the screen here real fast so you have it and you know exactly how to get a hold of us. Let's find that real fast. Boom, there we go. All right, so you see that on your screen right now. I need you to send an email saying, I want to join Noire Investments. And you're going to send it to noireinvestmentgroup@gmail.com. When you do that, either myself, the vice president, or the founder is going to respond to you with the NDA slip. And all the NDA slip is just basically saying, hey, I'm not going to go running around town disclosing all the secrets of what's happening inside this club. That's what we're here for. We're an intimate space and an intimate group. And that means we share secrets. Sometimes we share our wins, right? And we share those publicly. And sometimes we have some losses, right? Because we're in investing and we take calculated risks. And sometimes when we take those risks, we don't win like we want to, but we learn from those mistakes. If you call them a mistake, it's really a learning opportunity in all actuality, but we learn from those, we grow from those, and we keep the ball rolling. So the NDA is really to say, hey, keep this between you and us, because that's how we like it. We don't need to go blab all that out there, right? We want it to be an intimate and safe space for us to communicate openly and honestly. Next, once you sign that NDA and you send that back into us, we're going to send you the membership pack, and we're going to ask you to actually pay that enrollment fee. And the enrollment fee is something that everyone has done. In fact, as we roll from season 1 to season 2, existing members will keep that enrollment fee going. And what we use that enrollment fee for is simply to operate the business. You remember earlier I said we have a LLC, right? Well, we got to pay state fees to run that LLC to be official. That means we also got to pay an accountant to go check up on all of those funds, right, that we say we're investing, right? Because why are you going to trust me? Do you know me? I don't know me. Well, I know me, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's more or less we need to make sure that someone as a third party is checking up on the leadership. We elect those leaders to go take care of those important questions, those important thoughts, actually taking care of the investments, but we want to be able to check up on them. So we want transparency. And the way we do that, and that's one of the reasons why we partner with Edward Jones, the way we do that is also have an accountant check our books and also print case statements. And we do that so that every member can have full transparency and accountability, right? That's so important, right? So that's what those enrollment fees go through. Go towards. They go towards paying Zoom costs, right? So we can have virtual meeting calls. We're going to go back to in person sometime soon, but sometimes we're virtual and we have meeting costs. We have software costs that we have to maintain so that we have record keeping and bookkeeping. How many knows QuickBooks ain't giving away, right? Gulf Power don't give away free power, and software tools aren't always necessarily free. So we have some basic costs we have to keep up with, and that's what those enrollment fees are for. Step 4. Finally, investing. And guess what? Our next investment meeting that you will be able to join us on is November 14th, right? So you have until October 31st to get that membership pack and that enrollment fee in, and you get to participate in that next meeting, November 14th, right? You are hitting the road with us, and we're going to be doing some cool things during that time period. So let me go ahead and advance forward and keep the ball rolling. Let me see if we have any questions in the chat. I see we have a question in here, or really a comment. Madam VP says, Dr. Claude is my great great uncle, I swear. And I believe it. I believe it. She also says, the Black community will not survive if we cannot invest as a unit. Get in on the Noire investment tribe, because this train is finna leave the station for season 2. And if you're not here, well, see you on the next round.
100%. And you know what? Something that people we tell people, like, this is a building block. So you can come in here, you can learn some different things from us and commit to a year. And then from there, decide maybe you want to advance and you want to do other things within your portfolio, or maybe you want to branch and do a different type of investing. Fine. This is a safe place for you. This is an educational place for you. This is a place for growth and development. So this is, once you come in, you don't necessarily have to feel that you have to be with us for 5 years, 10 years, whatever you decide. But, it's a great building place for you for investment.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up, because we have members who are in all walks of life when it comes to investments. We have some who have never invested a dime in their life. They never had a portfolio until they joined the investment group. We've all been encouraging them to get their own portfolios, even outside of the group, because we can only invest so much as a group, right? You contribute to that group, and that pile of money is big that we get to go invest. But that you get a portion of that, right? Now we encourage you, hey, go start your own portfolio. go take risk on your own with the tools and the understanding that you're gaining here. You can go apply those same things in your own portfolio where you reap 100% of those benefits. And we have some people who are advanced investors and they're ready to run. They understand how to trade, how to read candlesticks. They understand how to read the market, how to read volatility, and they're ready to run and make trades. They're looking at the market from top to bottom, from left to right, right? And with that being said, we're all coming together, we're learning, and we're still growing, right? So great observation there, Madam Founder. All right, so what's next? The drum roll, right? So first investment for the new club year will be November of this year. It says November 20. It's actually November 21. That's a typo on my part. But that is November 14th. We have that meeting identified and ready to go. November 14th. Put that down on your pen and pad. Next, after that, when everyone's introduced, we have the new season 2 club members in place. Then we're going to start officer elections, right? That means you have a chance to run for an officer position and to contribute right away. This isn't a club where the good old boy system is in place and those who are in power stay in power forever. No, we want to make sure that people are empowered to grow and they have choice. The members here have choice and they vote every meeting. And this time they will be voting for new officers coming in December. Next, January of 2022. This says 21 again. It should have said 22. Those new officers take charge. So November is new meeting, new members. December is election pitches, confirmations, and voting. January, those officers are running with the team. They're running the squad. They're running the show, right? On to another investment season, right? It's that easy. And we have the system in place. And it seems to be working very, very well. So what I want to do is open the floor up to questions and answers right now. See if there's any additional things, any thoughts out there. What questions do you have or comments that you have, Madam Founder? Anything on your plate?
I guess when people wonder, sometimes things like this can kind of intimidate people. And I want to make sure that people know, the folks that are watching are considering like, hey, is this something for me? How expensive is this? Is this outside of people's price range to invest? So that might be one question people might ask, like, can my family afford it? So pitching that back to you, Mr. President, can my family afford it? How much is a monthly investment?
Absolutely. Great question. So right now, families are participating at $25 a month. That means a husband and a wife team, you both get a vote, you get a vote as a husband and wife team. You contribute $25. Your $25 goes to the voting along with the pool of other people. And that money is pooled together and we vote. That team votes on what they want to buy and purchase. So it is as affordable as $25 right now. It is very, very
awesome.
Affordable.
So that's one question, I think, and I think that might answer. And just in case if anybody had any questions, now here's another question people might ask. So, Mr. Hendricks, what if I just want to come in for 6 months and hop out? Can I hop out at any time? What's the commitment? Can I do this just at 8 months, or can I test try it out for 3 months? What do I have to do?
Gotcha. Good point. Good question. So we are committing to 1 year, right? That's the goal. That means you're jumping in. I want you to think about anything you do in life, right? If you test drive it for 3 months and you don't really like it, well, did you give it enough chance to really sink in? And with investing, you can't learn everything overnight. There's a humongous market. So we're asking you to give us a commitment of 1 year. That's where you're at. You have a commitment of 1 year with your investment when you sign your membership pack. Now, let's say something happens, you lose your job, something terrible happens, and it's just not for you, right? Something is just not for you. There is a way out for you. You can exit early if you need to. But we would ask that you actually entrust the full 12 months, get the full ride experience so that you learn the education, you understand the portfolio pieces, you understand and see your money grow. Because if you exit before your money has a chance to grow, you really don't gain any benefits. We understand if there's a hardship, we provide ways out for that, and we can get into further detail. All of that information is laid out in the membership pack. There is a way out. Otherwise, we ask that you commit for a full 12 months.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks so much. Those are some of the main questions I think that normally come up with people, and it can help clarify. And one last one, of course, as a husband and wife, I think you've already said, how many votes again do we get? Just to clarify, if we're investing, how many votes do couples, do spouses, do partners get? Is it 2 or is it 1 voice?
Just one. You got 1 voice. So you sign up as a husband and wife, and you pay 1 fee. And that counts for your vote. So husband and wife, you get 1 vote at the table, but both of you are at the table because we want both of you to learn, because this is a family thing. When we build with the family, we build ownership. We build with family values. And as we build with family values, we learn how to pass down wealth and assets through the family. That's where we build generational wealth at. 1 vote, 1 family.
Sounds great, Mr. President. So those are some of the questions I wanted to present out there, and I'll pitch it back to you just in case if you see anybody else who has any other questions. But I think we might have done a good job on covering it.
Yeah, I think we've got it all. I don't see anything else in the chat right now. So I'm looking at my stock page right now and actually seeing what's there. Do you remember what we were looking like at our last meeting here? We just passed our last meeting the other day, everyone. And so I was looking to pull up some information to kind of talk about some of the numbers and some of the things we've invested in. In fact,
that's a good one.
Can you invest in Black companies?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually do. One of the Black companies we found that we've invested in, and we have over 100 shares of that stock, is called Radio One. It's with Kathy Hughes. We have been adamant about trying to find Black businesses, Black banks. We talk about these things. So our portfolio, actually, the percentage of the stock shares we have is heavily for Black-owned stocks, like African-American stocks. And never mind, this is the company who owns, or the person who owns Radio One is a black woman. So we are definitely putting our money where our mouth is, and we have these conversations about investing again and putting our money to support other Black businesses. How else are we diversified in our portfolio? And these are things that we voted on as a group. AT&T is one of our stocks. We've got some safe exchange funds, VU, S&P 500, to keep us safe, to keep us balanced. So those are a couple that I know that we have definitely in our portfolio, amongst others too.
Sounds good. So it looks like we have a question in the chat. Let me bring this up here. So the question is there an age stipulation, and how early can someone join?
Bring your newborn baby. Bring your newborn baby. Bring the baby. No, of course not bring the baby, but we want the education to start as early as possible.
Absolutely. If you're under 18, look, I'm just going to tell you to have your mom or dad sign off on the paperwork. If you got a job and you can invest, you can commit to $25 on a monthly basis. We want you to come. We're going to have your parents sign off on it to make sure they understand what you're doing with your money, and bring it. We're ready for you. Parents, bring your children, right? You want to set up a separate account, a separate fund for them so that they have their own vote and you have yours, and then you're both sitting there investing. I think that's an awesome thing to do. Bring it on. We're ready.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we're not going to hold on and stay on forever. I see the numbers actually climbing, which is great right now.
Well, I wanted to pitch a couple things, because just while we're talking about investment, we talked a little bit about some of the investment conversations before we got started, and we were talking about, for those who came on later, we were talking about great investments for those, just in case if you are already investing or thinking about investing. We talked about the AFL for investment opportunities, and something that I want to pitch out right now, since we've come to the close in of the information for Noire, is a hot topic item. You ready for this, Chris?
Let's do it.
Here we go. So those who are watching, is this a good time? How do you feel about it if you were an investor and you invested in Netflix? You've got the Dave Chappelle special that just came out. What would you do? How would you handle this out? Would you sell your stocks? Are you nervous? Do you think Netflix is going to take a hit because of the Dave Chappelle? Would you hold? Hey, this is conversation. This is investment. Before I go too far, let me see. Miss Ella says, "How late is too late to start investing?" It's never too late to start investing. But for the investment club, our last date that we will be taking is at the last portion of October 31st. But for general investing, never too late to start investing. There's amazing opportunities to start. You've got things so simple as starting and getting a Roth IRA and start there to start building. There's certificates of deposits that you can do for 6 months to invest, all the way up into 24 years, 24 months, 36 months. And then, of course, you have amazing opportunity to buy stocks. Ameritrade. What's another one? Fidelity.
E-Trade.
You can.
Edward Jones.
How much of your disposable income you're willing to put in or able to put in at a later age in which your situation is?
100%. And I see another question from Ms. Johnson. Mr. Hendricks, what's the enrollment fee?
The enrollment fee is $100. Right. So $100 is your vote for the couple, for the family who will be voting. And what that does, that goes back to the actual running of the business. Right. Everyone pays that and we go from there. Right. We use that, again, to manage the Zoom accounts. We manage software like QuickBooks and investment software. We use that for I can't even think straight. Right. The mailbox. Right. For having the business account, for paying the accountant so that we have transparency and that we have proper books in place.
The taxes.
Taxes, filing paperwork, LLC paperwork with the state. That's what that admin fee goes for, because the money that we're investing, we invest 100% of that. Right. The money that we set aside, the enrollment fee, we set that aside. That pays the fees of the business. We've been through a full year cycle. We understand what that looks like. And unless something drastically changes, once we collect those fees, they go set aside, and that's what we use those fees for. And then all of our money that we invest on a monthly basis goes straight into the investment account.
So to segue to that, for a monthly investment, back to my question, Mr. President, what would you do? Right now with the Netflix situation, if you have Netflix in your portfolio, are you pulling that or are you holding? What are you gonna do? Is this a risky situation for investors right now? And when we're talking about investments, we're talking about things outside of not necessarily your personal stance or things like that. You're trying to see how's it going to affect your moolah? How's it going to affect that money? So what do you think, Mr. President?
I think Netflix is going to do very well on the other side of this. It looks like it's going to stir up controversy, but it's going to put eyeballs on Netflix. I don't see Netflix pulling away from Dave Chappelle and comedy. Comedy has pretty much always been a safe space to say things that are otherwise not politically correct, right? And it's allowed, and it's always been that way, to have real conversations. So comics say what they want to say in a joking manner, but actually to push the button of how things are. Now, comedy has changed. There's some things that are acceptable in common society now that people don't make jokes about in comedy anymore. But then there's also things that people say in comedy to push buttons and to actually gore sacred cows, so that we as a society also have the ability to just deal with the reality of what we don't want to see. And comics have a way of pushing those buttons in us. So I don't see it going away. I don't see Netflix taking a dive or dumping or even getting rid of Dave Chappelle. The comedy side of Netflix has been booming. It's going to continue to grow. And I see Netflix stock actually going up from this.
You also got to understand how Netflix pays out. So they've already paid Dave Chappelle all that money for the specials. They've already made their investment. So at this point, whatever they get is what they get. And the fact that people are already talking about it, they've already paid their monthly subscription. You back out now, you just backing out on your own money. Like Netflix they've already paid that money. So it'd be no surprise to see Netflix just not even bat an eye and keep on rolling, because honestly, it's a numbers game, and there's more people that are going to continue to be Netflix subscribers, not just because of, oh, I'm gonna leave Netflix because of Dave Chappelle, or I'm gonna leave because they have terrible shows. They're not gonna leave. More people are gonna stay with Netflix just because they have good content all over across the board. So they might lose a little bit, but I mean, it's like the NFL. People are like, oh, I'm gonna boycott the NFL. I mean, we tried, but more people watch the NFL there's more so than the boycott. That's just how that rolls. So,
you know what? Speaking on that, there's a news article that came out, and the news article stated that Netflix was like, yo, we holding fast. We are not shaking. So that speaks to both what the gentlemen are speaking to this afternoon, that Netflix is going to hold. They're not going to fold in regards to the situation. They're not going to let the pressure and some of the controversy about that special shake them in any way. They are going to keep the special up. So those who are wondering if we're going to be able to see it or not, it's going to still be on there. So, we'll have to worry about that. On another note for investments, we are in the middle, still kind of making it through a pandemic right now. And who's going out to eat? And if so, where are you going out to? Because what's being said right now is, guess what? Businesses are booming. Drive-through. How long are you drive-through restaurants? Drive-through fast service restaurants. How long are you staying in the drive-through, Chris? What's your drive-through wait?
It's about a good 10 to 20 minutes.
10 to 20 minutes. And,
Yeah.
and 10 to 20 minutes, and that's at some of the places locally here.
Yeah, locally. And what I've noticed is a lot of restaurants, a few have opened back up their interiors, but most of them have still kept their restaurants, their sitting area closed, and they're only pumping people through the drive-through. But they have actually come out with models, both Taco Bell and Crystals, and one other one I can't think right off the top of my head right now. I think it's Wendy's, has a restaurant-less feel, right? A model what they're building to actually be straight drive-through, right? So
Wow.
You talk about Checkers, right? We were kind of talking about Checkers offline, right, off camera, and literally that's what's really happening. And when you brought that up, it dawned on me, like, yeah, I forgot about that. Taco Bell is actually trying to develop a restaurantless, right, a seatingless environment where you just come straight to drive-through, right, touchless environment.
So that means for those who are looking and thinking about investing, here's another conversation or thought for you for investments. Things to consider. What restaurants do you think will be able to keep up with the market and stand the test of times? Checkers has been from the get-go a drive-through spot. So their sales have soared during COVID. They've done a lot better than some of the other ones who had to make transition. So if you have stock in Checkers, you should have seen some profit. There's opportunity for others, but guess what happens? Just like an investment, they're behind the curve. So if you don't jump on it early, guess who was able to make some of the profits? Because we have seen other fast food service restaurants that weren't able to keep it going. Like, how does Subway manage through this time period? Like, you gotta verbalize. I think people like seeing the ingredients go on the sandwich. They like to come in and see the sandwich, like go down the assembly line, right?
Cucumbers, no gloves on.
Well, I'm just saying, people like that. So how are some of these businesses going to transition through that, through this period? But just something to think about. What your thoughts?
Unfortunately, some other businesses that didn't make it through or not making it through well, and that's the buffet industry.
Ooh, did you see the list of the restaurants? And have you seen the list of the restaurants that are not making it?
I haven't seen it.
So your traditional Old Country Buffet, Golden Corral, Ryan's,
Sizzler. Where is a Sizzler? Pensacola? Is there a Sizzler here? But this is
I haven't seen one of those forever.
I know, right?
All of these sit-down restaurant buffet styles, they were already struggling prior to COVID, but since COVID, I believe it was Golden Corral. They're shutting down. They only had 67, and they're shutting down 18 nationwide stores. Old Country Buffet, they're shutting down completely.
Chuck E.
Cheese is in trouble.
The El Matron, the rat, was having problems.
They're having issues.
So
not Chucky.
Shocking. So if you have stocks in these are things to consider on your portfolio. Now, here's some ones that weren't necessarily on too bad, but they were seeing some problems. One of my favorite places that I used to be employed by, Cheesecake Factory. Cheesecake Factory was seeing some dips, and they were listed on there as being in trouble. So if you had stock in them, you probably might need to look at your stock with PF Chain. That's a major competitor for them. And I would actually segue this over if you are a business owner and have a storefront for your investment, your business investment. How are you going to manage? How are you going to make the transition? Because we've got people, the daddy warbucks that have deep pockets. What are you going to do to protect your investment and to keep you growing?
Because this mobile food delivery industry is rather booming as far as people wanting to use like Uber Eats and DoorDash and things like that. And they also got to consider, they're taking a little cut off the top. So that's where a lot of the food prices are starting to go up on top of the food shortage of things going around. Like Walmart said that they were having a food shortage of like meat, pretty much meats, pork, fish, beef, chicken, turkey, greens, beans, tomato. Right. So, so it's something to consider when you talk about the food industry and the supply chain. All those ships sitting out on the coast of California, that is not just in like building, but like all the restaurant industry. If you're trying to expand, well, how are you going to expand without the building supplies? It's tough. So everything's like interrelated. All these investments and where your money is and tied up, it is rather circular. So these are just things to start thinking about, like how where you put your money and where future like industries and what things, innovations are starting to come out to deal with this COVID situation worldwide, actually.
Yep. So with that being said, I do want to turn it back around. I want to bring up our email address again for those who are still on the call. If you are here, you're interested in joining an investment group, a Black investment group in Northwest Florida, who is about the business, right? Fully formed LLC, mature investment group who's been through one investment cycle with this particular fund and is directly partnered currently with Edward Jones, then send an email to noireinvestmentgroup@gmail.com. That's noireinvestmentgroup@gmail.com. Say you want in. You have until October 31st to join us for our next investment cycle. If you're interested, go ahead and send that email off because there are only a limited number of seats. We're not taking unlimited seats until October 31st. We are topping off our ranks at 20 that we will take forward into that next season. We are a small, intimate group right now, and we want to stay that way to make sure we continue to mature our processes. We may launch another fund in the future, but right now our max is 20. And when we hit that 20, investments close. So if you're number 21, I love you. We'll see you next season, right? So go ahead, send that email early so that you can get that process started. And when you do that, you also will reach out to you, we'll touch base with you, answer any questions you may have. We want you to be family because we're a family. We try and operate like a family in this group.
Yep.
Boom.
Thanks so much for posting that up there. I would even say just keep that up there just while we're chit-chatting and talking about investments. Is that okay, Mr. Hendricks?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
I want to go back to the Netflix. Right now, Netflix is at 627.04. It's down just a little bit, less than 1%, like 0.07%. Right
say
after
that again.
all the
Say that number. How much is it per share?
It's $627.04 a share right now, Netflix, and it's only down 0.07%.
Wait, zero.
Now,
that's how
that's
big
not even
it. That's
one.
how big this whole situation with Dave Chappelle fades him. It was point. It's not even a full 1%.
And look,
Wow.
they are up. The beginning of the year, as of January 4th, their year-to-date price point was $497.98 per share.
Wow.
They are now at $627.04 per share. They have continued to climb. That's year-to-date, right? Over.
What was it pre-COVID? Are you able to see the 5-year? Like go back and see before that? I'm just curious. So there was life, I think, before COVID. And if you were smart and you were able to invest pre-COVID when when the subscription was $5.99, $4.99 back in the day. How much a couple years ago? What does it say? How much the price was for investment for pre-COVID for Netflix?
So if we go back to December of 2018,
Okay,
right, we were looking at $267.
so
Since COVID,
$260.
it's doubled in price since COVID started. And then since the beginning of the year, when the pandemic is on its way down, it's literally added another 3%. Now going from roughly 400 and some change at the beginning of the year, right? What did I say? It was 532 January 1, and now it's at 627. So it's added another 4% since the beginning of the year in value, right? If we go back to November of 2016, it was 123.80.
Yeah, that was when you were paying like the cheap little cost per month. Think about, you could have got into it, but that's not over, because there's other companies that you could still, if you research and jump in, because how old is Hulu? How old is Disney Plus? Like, that's the mouse. But still, when these things first hit, I just say these things because as soon as you think or you see something and you hear something coming out, it's great to like research and see, hey, is this something I could potentially invest in? One of the things that as a Noire member, like people ask, like, well, where do I start? Where do I start? And I always say, start with where your money's going. What are you already buying? Is it Is it for hair? Is it jewelry? Is it clothing? What you eat? Your favorite toys? You name it, whatever it is, go ahead and start there for investment. Funny story, when Keith and I were dating, one thing I wanted to do, I'm like, he was working at Whole Foods. So I was like, oh, let me buy some stock in Whole Foods. And this was back before Whole Foods was everything that it is now. But I bought that stock because, we were dating. I was like, I guess I'll check out this hippie little, this company that was just starting. And of course, it blossomed into this. No, everybody knows who Whole Foods is now. Like that. Yeah, everybody knows. So these are tips that if you're thinking about investing, like you can start with the stuff that you like, that you enjoy. Yeah, that What are things that you like, Chris, that you started investing in with your family in your portfolio?
Good question. I want to take that on because I want to go to right here in our city. We talk about some things we know. What's the thing we know where we go buy kind of cool clothes, right? There's that store called City Trends, right?
Yeah.
That you go in and you get some nice, some nice threads, some shirts, right? All of that stuff you see. Then they got that clearance rack. You go to the clearance rack first, right? Then they got all that other little stuff on the other side, right? Go get some cool kids clothes or whatever, right? So imagine that at the beginning of the year, right? Did you know that company was public? Let me ask that question.
I didn't know. City Trends?
City Trends is a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ. So imagine you've bought 2 pair of jeans from there. You could have owned shares in that, and that share value would have been worth more than the 2 pair of jeans that would have been threaded out, right, in 6 months, right?
Spit them numbers. What's City Trends looking like? Listen, for everybody who be trying to get their little outfits together on Friday, Saturday night, you need to be buying some of this stock of City Trends. Let's see where we at.
So at the beginning of the year, City Trends was at $50. $50
per share. Okay.
Per share. Now we're at $71.26 per share. The 52-week, relatively affordable, right? So think about when you go buy, right, a couple bucks of clothes from City Trends before you hit the club, before you get them church outfits, before you get that I'm going to go hang out outfit, right? Now go do the hangouts, but buy the stock. Own the stock on the other side, right? Own the stock. Buy one less outfit and buy a share of City Trends. So next time you go back, guess what? You're buying your own company clothing. You investing in yourself. You tell your boys, hey, let's go down to City Trends and get that. Let's go get them threads from City Trends, right? Your boys buying clothes from City Trends, and guess what? Let's put money back in your pocket because you own shares of that stock.
I'm finna hit it old school and live in color. More money.
That's it right there.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That's how we build a portfolio. That's how you do it.
The 52-week range for City Trends down to $25 within the past year, right? Think about COVID at its worst. Nobody was shopping, right? City Trends shut down, right? But as soon as City Trends open back up, guess what y'all doing? Running to the store to get them threads for the club or for that event or for that wedding or for that church event, right? Y'all done bought them threads, right? And guess what? They stocked back up. So if you would have bought City Trends last year, right,
At
within the
what
past
at
year,
what price again? Just for
at
the people in the back.
$25,
25.
$25, right? Your stock would have doubled in value, literally
Wow.
tripled in value. 25 times 3 is what? 75. And right now it's at
Wow.
71.26.
Wow.
It is actually terribly underrated on Yahoo Finance right now. So for
Wow.
those of you who are listening right now, if you don't know, you can see all of this information if you go to finance.yahoo.com or just go to yahoo.com and you'll see, click on the finance tab. And then look up your favorite companies. Look up Levi Jeans. Look up Jordans, right? Look up, whatever clothing you wear. I don't wear a bunch of name brand stuff. I don't want to give away my money, right? But think about the other stuff you have in your house. Like I'm looking at stuff I buy from Lowe's. Oh,
Apples.
that's right. Lowe's, Apple.
Hewlett Packard. Yeah, Hewlett Packard. I had to say the word right. Like, yeah. Wood. Oh my gosh, construction. People were talking about how expensive it was to get wood.
Yeah. Trying to repair a fence after the hurricane. How many of y'all fence got tore up after Hurricane Sally?
Oh, gosh.
How many of y'all tried to buy fencing material after Hurricane Sally with that insurance money to repair your yard? You weren't buying nothing. That wood was coming straight from the tree in Brazil. It came straight from that tree right into Lowe's and right back out before you could even get to it because the contractors hadn't took it all.
100%. And then here's the fun part that we haven't talked about, because some of these places that we're talking about, there's this fun thing called, guys, this is for the rich and wealthy. Y'all take down this note. You'll be able to get more information when you join Noire Investment about this keyword that I'm getting ready to throw out there. Dividends. There's places that you can buy and you get money back. So as a company is doing well, they will toss you money back. There are people in this nation, in this country, that live off of dividends. Dividends. You're like, well, how does that work? How do dividends work? So Noire, we've been recipient of dividends from some of the stocks, right? So, Mr. President, you want to talk about dividends and what are dividends and how do you get to that place? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So think about dividends think about your bank account. And when you have $100 in your bank account and you keep it in there over a month and the bank pays you 0.000, half of a penny, right? They give you a dividend, right? In interest. A dividend is basically interest in growth. Right. So when you own a stock, right, say AT&T, for instance, AT&T is a company that has always paid dividends. And guess what? Noire has AT&T. Shout out to Miss Erin Wilmer. Thank you for them AT&T stocks. Good looking out. But when you own stocks and AT&T does well, how many of y'all got AT&T Uverse? How many of y'all got AT&T T1 or DSL or Internet or DirecTV? Every time you pay your bill, my stock goes up. And you know what happens when my stock value goes up? AT&T says we're going to share some of those funds with the investors, right? Because AT&T is beholden to their shareholders. So that they say, look, we've made this much money above what we thought what we needed. This is what we were looking for, and we made this much money. So this meet in the middle, we're going to give you as shareholders and give you that extra money back in dividends. So they give us that money as shareholders, and then that goes right back into our portfolio so that we can buy more stock. We can buy more AT&T. We can buy more of Urban One. We can buy more of Lowe's. We can go buy more of City Trends, right? We can buy more
whatever
of these
it
things,
is.
right?
So something that's paying me dividends right now, I fill up that gas tank like that, and ExxonMobil is paying me dividends. You can be paid. I go and fill up my gas tank, and then they kick some back. And it's so funny because there's some platforms that will tell you how much you will make a year off dividends. I love that because it'll show me like, hey, at the end of the year, this is how much. So I actually have a little goal. I'm like, ooh, if I can get to this much, making this much off of dividends a year, that'd be awesome. This is what we're talking about in the War Investment Group. We're talking about financial wealth. We're talking about educational wealth. We're sharing the conversation about, hey, what you can do for your private portfolio as well as what we do collaboratively. So these are the benefits that you reap, making sure that you're able to grow and invest in things that are that are safe. Now we talked about the fun things that are great to invest in. What are the whoopsies of the year for investments? Do you know any stocks that was like you thought it was going to rock but they did not rock, Mr. President?
Let me see what was top off of our head. What did we do that we had a whoopsie? Do we want to share any whoopsies?
I made one. Oh,
Uh-oh.
congratulations. I see over on the side some great places for dividends. So
Oh, what am I missing in the chat? Uh-oh.
Tesla. I had a Tesla stock and bought it on what I thought was going to be the low, and man, that has been the bomb in my portfolio. It has failed me so bad. I'm holding on, praying that it's going to come up because I saw a significant loss in my personal portfolio because I'm an Elon Musk fan, and yeah, that has been so disappointing. I took a loss in my portfolio for my Tesla stock. I was like,
Wow.
yo, son, this is not what's supposed to happen. Like, and it happens sometimes. But that's why we balance things out. Tesla has failed me, but that's okay because I have other stocks that's going to balance out. So
Yeah, and I couldn't afford Tesla, but what I wound up starting to do was I was looking at all the companies around Tesla, all the industries like the battery industry. And then what
yes,
I did was I started investing in the index funds, right? That's something you'll learn about if you don't know what an index fund is, or it's something very similar to a mutual fund for those who understand what a mutual fund is. So like the battery industry, the manufacturing industry around that, right? Panasonic, right? How many of y'all seen a Panasonic electronic? Did you know they make batteries? Do you know they
Mm-hmm.
partner with Tesla, right? Do you know that they make all the batteries with Tesla, right? They're the partner, Tesla's direct partner, in actually making batteries for the cars, right? But my big whoopsie actually was Apple. I bought Apple right before the split, and I was expecting that, and that was, part of that was my knowledge, right? And it turned out to be a thing where I bought Apple at the split, and the split happened, right? I retained the same value, right? Because I got more shares. So I bought like 4 shares of it. It split. I had 8 shares, and they just half the pricing of it. But the value of Apple actually started to drop after that split happened, and I'm like, no, why? And it was already overheated and overvalued, right? And that's what sucked. So I actually lost money. I'm still waiting on that recovery to happen. It's recovered a little bit, but it was a whoopsie moment for me by buying on the hype around a split, right? Expecting it to just go up, and that was getting into a little speculation. And I should have known better to do that.
it happens. But these are sometimes like for great investors, one of the things that we look for is the down spiral. So when we see banks take a plunge, like that was some years ago where my dad had he was helping guide me on making decisions for investment. And when Citigroup they came close to like filing for bankruptcy. There was a whole bunch of scandal. I think that was after the housing market was like crumbling. I went in and bought stock. And everybody was like, no, that is not the time that you don't want to buy that. But I did. I was like, it's going to go back up. And they did. And I did profit from that. So pay attention to what's going on right now in the market in regards to, what's at its low end. Does it have a potential to go back up? Because we've got something right now that's going on like, hey, are there any cryptocurrency folks out there who have crypto? Did I not see some information about some prices going up and down in regard to crypto? What's going on out there, Mr. Hendricks, with the crypto world?
Let me answer these questions first real fast or bring up these comments. So Angie said, or Asabi Birth Services, let me say that, said Ford is paying dividends. So they're getting paid some dividends there. Miss Naomi Howard said Gulf Power pays dividends. So that's nice to know. Every time I pay my power bill locally, I can get a dividend back. We need to take that actually back to the club. I think one of the members of the club, Mr. Daniel, brought up Gulf Power in the past, but we need to revisit that and actually look at that as a dividend paying stock and going out. And I think we have one question. Someone wanted to, Miss Tanya Morris wanted to talk about the cost to join. And Tanya, I don't know if you were there from the beginning. Let me recap real fast. So the cost to join, or the process to join, is number one, you're going to send an email to Noire Investment Group at gmail.com. Let me bring that up on the screen real fast. Noire Investment Group at gmail.com. You're going to say, I want in, right? If you just put that in there, either myself, Madam Founder, Madam VP is going to reply to you and actually get you the NDA form. The NDA form gets you everything else, access to everything else. We just want to make sure that you sign that says what happens with Noire stays with Noire, and all that information isn't being shared out with the whole world. Once you sign that NDA, you get the membership pack, and then you will need to turn in your enrollment fee. Your enrollment fee as a new member is $100. $100 for the year. And then that takes care of you there for the whole year for your enrollment fee. And again, that goes to paying the administrative costs of running the business, the LLC, with the state, with the accountant, with the tools and the software that we utilize to manage our investment group, right? And so $100, and then it's $25 a month. That is our current investment level that all members contribute to every month. Your $25 goes straight into the investment cycle. The $100 is for the admin fees. So I hope that answers your question. All right. So now let's get into the crypto world. Let's get into the crypto world a little bit. Right. So crypto has been just booming on the side, and it's really interesting, right? So everyone I think knows about Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is the elephant in the room. But there are so many altcoins in the space. And what we call an altcoin is basically a coin that is not Bitcoin. In fact, every coin except Bitcoin is a altcoin, is how the market or the space kind of determines that right now. Bitcoin is the elephant in the room. So Ethereum is an altcoin to Bitcoin.
What about the little doggy coin?
Doge.
Is it Doge?
Doge, yep, that's it right there. The little doggy coin.
Got you.
Yep, Dogecoin has been around forever. It was actually like the first meme coin. It was kind of generated as a joke, but it's kind of always hung in there. And then Tesla kind of tweeted about it, and Doge went through the roof for a time period, blew up, right? And it's kind of come back down in price some. So if you bought Doge at the high thinking it was going to go higher, maybe not. But that's where investment knowledge comes in at. The big thing you want to look at when you're looking at it, crypto, you have two areas you can play in. Number one, you can buy the coin, hold the coin for value as it grows as an asset. That's number one, right? Very similar to the stock market, buying mutual funds, right? Or buying individual stocks like Nike and Gulf Power and Ford. Very similar to that. Now, the second piece of the market is the actual networks themselves. Coins are the byproduct or the result of work happening on the network. And what happens is a network like Ethereum allows you to conduct transactions and things called smart contracts. And then people have heard of things like NFTs, right, as the actual product. So the coin space right now, and the coin market and the coin networks are all at their HTML kind of 1.0 phase, if you will. So if you remember the internet in the early 2000s, right, when we were still kind of in the dial-up phase, right, the coin market is kind of just in the end of the dial-up phase. They've kind of perfected dial-up. Remember, we had 24.4, then we got the 36, and we got the 56K, right, as far as dial-up internet, and we started to get some extra tooling like email and some cool things happening on websites with video and other stuff like that. In the coin market, right, we have networks that are being built up on top of the concept of what a blockchain does and how it is a open registry. In fact, almost if you think about how QuickBooks works, right, it's a open registry. QuickBooks is a closed registry, right, for a system of how you keep track of records. The blockchain is a way of keeping track of records, but in the open space that anyone can take a look at and authenticate. But once a block has been accounted for, it's in the open, it's very transparent, it can't be changed. You can modify a block later, but on the blockchain itself, it's set. So now that the blockchain is this main technology that the coin is the byproduct of a block being added to the chain or a contract being updated. So I can do things like I can buy a house and do title paperwork on the blockchain. So it's all out in the open and there. So imagine how title work is being done with companies when you finna buy a house. You know how you got to go pay all those closing costs and things like that? All that can start to happen on the blockchain in an open space where records can't be hidden. All of the underpinnings of how illegal things happen, those can all now be put out in the open and they can no longer be hidden. But as these technologies build up on top of each other, there's more and more value being added, which means that you want to pay attention to what the network mission is. So when you look at a coin network, a coin like ADA, for instance, ADA, its network, or the main network is called Cardano, and the Ouroboros network technology that runs on the Cardano network is focused around large-scale smart contracts. They actually even have a contract with the Ethiopian government to actually manage the infrastructure for the Ethiopian university system. So imagine the value that's going to be delivered to the country. They're going to do leapfrog jumps ahead of this middle age that we've been in. They're going to go straight from where they are, which is not where we're at, and they're going to leapfrog ahead of us in that ecosystem. But that coin is going to become value because of what they can deliver. And each coin, each network is working on a different thing. There's another one called Tron. Tron, for instance, is focused on the gaming industry. So whether it's gambling or e-games, all types of the gaming, electronic gaming industry. So imagine the coin and the references, NFTs that can come from that. And I know I've thrown out a lot of tokens and slogans. We'll get more into that later. But to say the least, look at the network, the coin, and the mission. There are a couple different ways to invest. There's great opportunity there. We're in the early days of it, and I encourage you to get involved.
So what are you saying, Chris? Are you saying we're going to see Tron at Atmore? At Atmore Casino? What you trying to say?
Look, Atmore Casino might be running on Tron in the near future.
Ooh.
And the byproduct of that, the utility of that, right? You imagine Atmore Casino being able to do virtual stuff as well, where you can participate in Atmore from your living room. And the way that happens is on the Tron network.
Well,
right?
you know, you with that, you actually can. So we took a little visit down there, and yes, it was my first time going down to visit. And for those gamblers that are out there, you know what I'm talking about. They give you that little card, right? And you're able to put that card in, right? And what they tell you is that there is an app or there's an opportunity for you to be able to gamble still with Atmore at home once you leave there. So I don't know what platform. Yes, I know. I said what? This is how Wind Creek. Yeah, this is so you can. So I'm not sure what they might be on, but for those who, this is yet something again for those who are interested in thinking about what they want to invest in. If you are a gambler, it's like, okay, well, maybe you might want to think of a crypto coin and go with. Here's I think this might be a better gamble option to invest in Tron crypto coin.
The irony there is just
it's just I'm just saying. I'm like if you're gonna gamble,
so throw your money somewhere.
If you're gonna throw your money somewhere,
invest in the casino.
There you go. Or you can invest in Wind Creek, or invest in Tron, the cryptocurrency, or this is another way.
The house is not gonna lose.
There you go. That's a great thought, though. Yeah.
Invest in the casino.
That's a great one. So for all the gamblers there's your
how you get your money back.
There's how you get your money back. There's how you get your money back for investing. So yeah, that's an awesome one. Thanks so much for sharing that information about cryptocurrency, because it can get confusing. Like I'm still trying to figure out like the platform to start and to go on that, but we're going to be talking about that as well, I believe, a little bit more, maybe in Noire. Like we've talked about it and we're gonna see where we stand with that, because when you join Noire, everybody has a voice. We talk about these things. We converse about where we want to be and what we want to where we want to go, what we want to be. So yeah,
good deal. Well, I think it's about time to wrap up. I think we've got some good questions in. I think the last thought of the day is don't forget to check out Dr. Boyce Watkins for updates on Black economic literacy, the Black Business School. I've been through their boot camp. It's actually pretty good. And it's well worth taking a look at. And with that thought, we want you to not only look at Boyce Watkins on YouTube or in his Black Literacy School, Black Education School. We want you to join the war. We want you to fill one of those last seats. And the way you do that, again, send an email to noireinvestmentgroup@gmail.com. And what that will do, say, I want to join the war. that's going to get that process started so that we can get you involved and you can take one of those last seats before the end of the month. Our next club meeting is November 14th. November 14th. November 14th. And that's when we start with season 2. We're going to introduce all of our new members again. We're going to be selecting officers, those who will be running in December, and those new officers will take charge in January and run the rest of the year, leading the show where we're going, right? We look forward to it. We see y'all out there. Thank you for hanging in with us. Those who have been in and out, we appreciate it. We're going to call it a night. Remember, noirinvestmentgroup@gmail.com. And we will see y'all when we see y'all. Peace.